my question is concerning food. And so what was it like to feed a family of 8?
Well, considering I didn't know much about cooking, but I grew up in a big family, so I knew kind of like what foods to fix, and a lot of casseroles and stuff like that. But Larry, he liked to eat, so he helped me as far as giving me ideas about what to cook and stuff like that. He'd tell me what he liked and that, and I learned to make different things.
What was your specialties or the ones you served
Oh gosh.
every week? What was your menu like?
Oh, what was that one thing the kids would always tell me about?
The one with the tamales, the Mexican casserole?
Oh, well, they like that, but that came about later too.
The 3-bean casserole?
That one, you didn't like that, did you? I don't know, it just didn't, there wasn't anything really spectacular, I don't think, that they liked. They might be able to tell you, but I can't think of it right now. Sorry.
What about holiday food?
Oh, well, we had a lot of the traditional holiday food, like for Christmas, well, we always had brownies. They loved brownies, so we always had brownies. And then we'd have a big Christmas meal.
Which was what, like turkey or?
Well, for Thanksgiving, of course, it would be the turkey. But then Christmas, I don't know, different things. In fact, one time I think I had lasagna or something like that. I mean, it wasn't anything written in stone for the Christmas meal. It's whatever sounded pretty good at the time. But Larry, he pretty much, said what he thought would be good. So then I'd fix whatever he was interested in. But for Thanksgiving, we had the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, and all that kind of stuff.
So was your
Pumpkin
food
pie.
mainly like from what you grew up with? Your mom is from Italy, Italian background, and your dad was Irish, from Irish ancestry. So were your dishes Italian and Irish?
Not to any extent. I mean, it wasn't anything actual, would you say this is definitely Italian, this is definitely Irish? I mean, I had spaghetti and stuff, but I'm sure it wasn't the real true Italian spaghetti made from, scratch kind of type thing. But like I said, I wasn't any real fascinating cook. I did learn how to make good pies. And so everybody liked to have the pie, apple pie or lemon meringue or stuff like that. So the pies always were a big hit, but I didn't always have time to make pies. They were a little time consuming.
What's a 10 and 10?
Oh, that was gosh, Keith, I can't remember what that was. That the dialogue?
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
Tell me what you remember about it.
Oh, well, after one of the biggest things that we did, Larry and I did, was go to Marriage Encounter. And, that just transformed our lives a lot. And every day we would have the, what we call our dialogue, and we'd have you wrote a letter to each other for 10 minutes, and then you talked about the letter with each other for at least 10 minutes. You'd read what each other wrote to you, and then you'd tell your feelings. It wasn't anything about judgment or anything. It was all about feelings. And because feelings are neither right nor wrong. So you don't have to, if you feel something, it's not like, you chose to feel that way. It just happens, So there's no right or wrong to it, but you share it. And by sharing feelings with each other, it brought us so much closer. So it was a big step for us, Marriage Encounter.
Do you remember that first weekend?
Yeah. It was quite a deal. It was like an eye-opener. And like I said, it was wonderful.
Do you remember what year it was?
Oh, gosh. No, I don't. We were married in '58. I wonder if it was in the '70s, maybe?
Oh, definitely in the 70s.
'70s, but I don't remember exactly what year it was, actually. It might have been '71, maybe, I'm not sure. Or '74, maybe.
It had to be after we moved to the new house.
Oh, you got a better memory about things than
So
I
you were
do.
how old?
I was probably in 5th or 6th grade.
I was gonna say 5th grade, I think, maybe. I guess that's
It'd
when
be
we made it.
77
Oh, okay, 77.
77.
or
Where?
75.
Where was it?
Where was the weekend?
Yeah,
Gosh, you guys,
was it in Springfield?
oh, yeah. Wasn't it? He's saying, no, it wasn't in Spring. No, of course it was. It was in Kansas City. Yeah, it was in Kansas City. My memory is not what it should be at all. I can't remember.
I remember.
Yeah, it was in Kansas City. Why do you remember? Because did we bring you up there and somebody babysit you while we were
Yeah.
gone? And that would have been
We
the,
used to stay with strangers.
yeah, that would have been, and we became
I told
good
my high
friends
school
with them.
students, you know, that we used to go on these weekends and we stay with strangers. They were dumbfounded.
Really?
They couldn't believe it.
Who was that first time you went though up there? Who was
I
that?
remember when you and Dad came back,
Oh.
picked us up, because you had this silly look on your faces.
Like what, all smiles or, oh, was it? It was a fantastic weekend, it really was. It was,
Well, tell me, you had all these 10 and 10s. Do you remember any topics you talked about?
oh my gosh, all kinds
Like
of.
something that sparks a memory that was an intense dialogue
Oh gosh, I couldn't.
that you could share.
Well, oh man, some of the questions were wonderful, and some were provocative. I mean, they were things that we knew that we didn't agree on necessarily, but I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the questions. Yeah. Well, obviously, the ones that were the most controversial were anything on sex. Do you, what about our sex life? Do you want to do some changes and all this kind of stuff? And that turned out to be very beneficial because we knew, I mean, that even brought us even closer because it was very important to us. And, I mean, we knew that the sexuality was, part of your expressions, and so we wanted to do what was pleasing to each other. So we had some questions on that. A lot of it had to do with, and then a lot of it had to do with the kids. The time that I had to spend with the kids, was that pushing Dad out of the side, or how did we look at it? And so we developed our attitudes that, I felt that I had my place, I had to do that, and he was at work all the time. We had discussions about that, raising the kids and stuff. So all of those things were our daily, basically it was dialogue on our daily lives with each other and how we responded. And it was a wonderful, it really brought us closer together in many, many ways.
Do you have any of those books left?
I don't know if I do.
I haven't seen any.
I don't
I
know.
remember I used to see them around the house.
Yeah, I don't know, I saved them for a while, but I don't think I do. I'm trying to think where I would have brought
The
them
books
with
were
me.
books that you wrote in.
Well, you wrote a love letter to each other every day,
Okay.
and those were your, that's what we're talking about. You had a question to write on, and you answered the question, but within the course of the letter of answering the question, you always tried to pick out something that like I would always remember to try to bring out the things that I love so much about Dad, and you tell them, not everything about him, but there was always some positive remark that, we try to make in our love letters to each other. Instead of just sitting there saying, I don't like it when you do the blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff.
How did you know something was a judgment
How did I know it was a judgment?
instead of a feeling?
Oh, well, yeah, there is a difference. A feeling It's something that just comes in with you, but first you have to look at what's happening that's making you feel this way. Then you can describe that feeling. And it can be a feeling of hurt, or it can be a good feeling, the feeling, you can describe the good feelings too. We didn't always just write about the bad stuff, the feelings, the sad feelings and stuff like that. But feelings are just things that happen with events. They're neither right nor wrong, it just comes in your body. You can make the decision whether you want to act on that feeling or whether you want to say, look, this is what's really true, and the way I'm feeling, if it's a controversial thing. If it's a happy feeling, why do you want to count that out? I don't know. It's just sharing who a person is basically what you say. Because we all have feelings. And the way we feel about something, it's okay to feel that way. But if you take that feeling and then be, hurtful or something,
Judgmental.
and just to the other person because of it, then that's the bad part. But I could feel irritated with you, but I acknowledge I have a feeling of irritation. But if I turn around and say, will you please get out of my way, or you're really making me mad, or something like that, or really be mean to a person, that's the bad part. But because you have that feeling about the person, you can't help that if it rises up in you. But if you act on it, then that's where the bad part comes. So that's what we learned anyway. And?
I don't know, how long does it rain? As long as you want,
As
or?
long as you want, or if you're done. Or done.
Well, I mean, I could talk forever. But
Oh.
Two more questions. Actually, that was my one big question. I always remembered when you and Dad came back from Marriage Encounter.
You do remember it?
Yeah.
How did we look? Or what did we say?
Goofy.
Goofy, right? They had this goofy look on your faces.
Did we really?
Yeah, we were all the kids were in the car, in the station wagon, and you and Dad were sitting in the front, and you turn around, and Dad, of course, Dad, when he's, because he's pretty transparent,
Yeah.
he had this big grin on his face, and we go, what happened to you guys?
Because what happened? We didn't
And we were
get-
just little kids, we were like, what happened to you guys? What'd you do? And I always remember that.
You remember that day
Yeah.
that well, huh?
Yeah.
You too, Carol?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Marriage
amazing.
Encounter was amazing.
So how long did that last? Was that every year? I mean, it was like
No.
every weekend you went?
Oh,
Well,
no,
they
just
were
once
leaders.
a month?
So
Well,
they,
then we became,
Yeah.
they asked us if we would become a team couple.
Oh.
they
But
would lead other couples in Marriage
then we
Encounter.
would give weekend. I mean, there were three couples on a weekend and a priest.
And how long did you do this marriage encounter with Larry?
How
How
long
many
were we-
years were you involved with this?
I don't remember.
Oh, 10 years.
Mm.
Was it 10? Oh, I don't think it. But
It was
really
less
heavily.
than 10.
No, it wasn't that long. Heavy duty wise, maybe 4, maybe something. I don't know. I'd be safe to say.
I
maybe
just know,
4.
well, all through junior high, because we kept on going, because they didn't have them in Springfield, and so we kept on going to these other, Wichita and
Yeah, they were
Kansas City.
probably. They probably remember a lot more about some of
Right,
it
we'd
than
all
we
stay
do.
at all these different people's
People,
houses, the
yeah.
Learys and the, that was fun. We had a great time. But it was a Catholic charismatic movement, like
Oh,
Rocio.
yeah. Definitely. It was one of the most wonderful things we ever did as a couple. It really opened our eyes, and I mean, we weren't having troubles or problems, big heavy duty problems or anything, but it was just like it was almost like we got married all over again. Fell in love and got married all over again. I don't know. That's one way I'd put it, because so much of that was brought back to us, through that marriage encounter weekend, and then what we learned from it helped us carry it on. It wasn't just a weekend experience. It really permeated our lives to where it changed us toward each other.